All right. I can tell you when I worked with a teacher who was a third grade teacher, and that's actually where I got my "I will be able to" board. I will be able to, and it was at a school called Sheezer Elementary, and he used to take his students camping.
The what?
Well before my time with him, but that was like he would take a whole group of students camping over the summer, in tents, canoeing, and all that. Like, how awesome would that be?
Mr. Houston, you have to take us.
Honestly, like I would really enjoy that and have a whole lot of fun with it, but it's just not something we do these days. Like some kind of outdoor ed or something like that. I think that'd be really cool. We did that when I was in 6th grade. I'm surprised we don't have that. Yeah, I'm surprised we don't have that here. But perhaps that's something that we start, because I think that'd be pretty amazing, especially with all the state parks and the Smoky Mountains are close enough that we could take a day trip out there and make it pretty awesome.
Or maybe we could like have something here at the school, like have like dinner or like a baseball.
How about like
Or make them dig a pond out there so we can fish.
That's what I'm talking about. Make them dig a pond so we can fish. Or how about like a survival class, like where you learn how to do all that stuff. You know how awesome that would be?
And we get the
Man.
game warden to come over here and take us out fishing.
Game warden take us out, man.
Look at
You get me all excited about teaching again. All right.
Everybody take
Chapter 25, guys. If you could please go to page 149. That's where we left off. On chapter 25, the name of the chapter is Return. In the basement of the old stone fort on the edge of town, the 8 depositees of the National Last-Ditch Dog Depository were awakened by a sound different from the muffled sounds of the summer storm they had heard all night. As always, for the last many years, they'd slept in a pile, so untangling was a bit of a chore. Poofed, yawned, politely minding where his inflammatory opposite end was pointed. Wee Willie pulled himself out from between Tusk's toes, where it was always warm. Old Blue stretched a lavender leg. Bug rubbed his eyes with a paw, being careful not to knock one out. Fabio hopped onto his remaining 2 feet, stretching like a ballerina, and Madame adjusted her self-sewn Great Dane muzzle as she climbed out from below the blanket that was Jeeves' left jowl. We're on page 150.
Hey, Mr. Houston.
So we're on chapter 25. Yes, sir.
I followed you on, I subscribed to your channel on my phone.
Great. So now you can watch these live or after they're recorded. Remind me, when we're done here, I read a fantastic review from a dog that is like in a shelter right now. And they give this honest review of this English bulldog. And I'll have to share it with you. It's hilarious. Like I was reading it. It was hilarious. Anyway, so we're on page 150, Wyatt. Your book's over by Kaylin. Join us as soon as you can. They all heard the same thing coming from outside the bars of their cage. The television. A little boy's voice. Lassie, Lassie, you've come home. The dogs stumbled out of their enclosure past the always unlocked cage doors and blinked into the darkness. As thunder rolled somewhere above and lightning flashed, the dark room exploded into brilliance. Madame coolly stared at a vaguely familiar spoon-legged dachshund sitting atop the desk in the middle of the dungeon-like brick room. Handsome, purred Madame, is back. The little TV was on and playing their only movie. The little boy on the screen hugged his achingly beautiful pet. Sam turned down the volume with his mouth. He glanced at Peaches watching from the shadows and then faced the others. He pointed to the screen and spoke with a different, harder voice than he had had years before. Lassie, you've come home, the boy says. He cries, he holds her, he hugs her, and he tells her again. Sam leaned close into the dogs. You've come home. Sam pushed the power knob and the picture went black. "We!" Sam roared. "We'll never hear that!" The dogs jumped. Peaches ducked. Sam began to pace across the top of the table, throwing glances at his audience. "They aren't coming, you know," Sam said. "The families in their big boxy cars and the kids piling out to come down here to this wretched hole, put their faces to the bars, point at your crooked runny noses and say, 'That one, Mommy?' That's the one we'll take home and give a wicker bed and an old pillow to sleep on. The one that we'll give a lap to rest his head on while we read a book. The one who will curl up with us when we're sick or sad or just in need of someone to love. Sam spat out that final word as if it was something disgusting. The dogs looked at Sam with a look that was new for them, something between shock and sorrow and a deep and mournful pain that comes from finally seeing something unthinkably awful that you'd struggled to ignore. Sam continued, "They're not coming for you ever, because they have been fooled and seduced and stolen from you by the others." Sam dropped a rolled up poster onto the floor where it unspooled and the dogs read it. The Westminster Championship Dog Show, coming to New York in 3 days. Whose picture is on the poster of the Westminster Dog Show? That's definitely Cassius, and if you weren't sure if that was Cassius or not, right underneath the picture it says Cassius.
I was looking at it, but I
Didn't even see it. They all gasped at the magnificent dogs illustrating the words, their noses and legs and ears and fur all breathtakingly perfect. "Lassie, you've come home," said the voice on the TV screen. Got a good picture of all the dogs there. They'd never seen such animals. Wee Willie walked up closer to the poster and whistled with a low whistle of awe. He was looking at a picture of Cassius standing largest in the center. "Zowie, that's a dog." "Yes," said Sam, cool, hiding his real emotions. "He is. And he and all the rest of them is why you will wait here forever while they take what should be yours, because you're flawed. And they're not." Sam snapped the movie on again. The boy was running toward the English horizon with Lassie at his heels, her shiny coat of fur flowing like threaded gold in the stream. Then arose a sound new to the dark and terrible walls of the National Last-Ditch Dog Depository, a howling of fresh and terrifying pitch, a cry not for food but of pride and vengeance. Sam pointed to the Westminster poster. "In 3 days, they're coming to their grand palace of perfection. And they're human beings who don't want you, who don't need you." Sam moved closer to the dogs, "but I do." I'm almost done. Peaches looked at the dog's face. They were lit, glowing, alive. Sam's voice rose higher. "Help me. Help me go to the great house of self-worship in New York City, and before the whole world watching on TV, do to them what they've done to you." The dog sat rigid, waiting. "Wreck 'em. Wreck Westminster. Wreck Westminster. Wreck Westminster. Wreck Westminster!" They all chorused, leaping and bouncing. Even Madam showed explosive emotion, which for a cat means the subtle flaring of nostrils while looking bored. Who? Young Kings. Oh, I got 2 paragraphs. Can you guys wait? Can I finish this real quick? Pooped backed up to the Westminster poster and shot a burst of flame through his afterburner, reducing it to a glowing embers. He rocketed across the room in opposite direction and hit a pail of dog food, exploding it like brown confetti. From atop the desk, Sam and Peaches watched this gaggle of unwanted outcasts celebrate their new mission in life, pointing their noses high and howling to a moon that they hadn't seen in years, but soon they would. Chapter 26, we shall read